So today we're going to be talking about fighters that I think will make a comeback in 2025. These three fighters that I've selected are currently on a bit of a losing streak. People have kind of forgotten them, thrown them out to the wild to just die off. But I do believe that these fighters can make a comeback. Starting off with someone who at one point in time people were saying was going to be a title contender, title challenger in Benoit Saint Denis. Obviously, coming off two back-to-back defeats to Dustin Poirier and brutally stopped and beaten up badly by Money Moicano. I mean, what Money Moicano done to Benoit Saint Denis, especially in the first round, with just busting him open and literally beating the shit out of him, it was disgusting. I mean, he absolutely decimated Benoit Saint Denis in there. I thought Benoit was going to beat Money Moicano, but yeah, after round one, he was absolutely decimated. Had a pretty decent round two, to be fair to him, but I think the right call was made. The guy couldn't see out of his eyes. Then we've got the Dustin Poirier matchup. Benoit Saint Denis did have staff going into that fight. However, I don't think it would have. It might have changed the outcome, but my prediction was a Dustin Poirier win. Dustin Poirier is the elite of the elite in the lightweight division. The guy is a top 5 lightweight of all time, in my opinion, despite not being an undisputed champion. I thought Benoit Saint Denis, especially when he's striking, does tend to leave his hands down, and that is inevitably what got him caught in there. Obviously, this fight's famous for Dustin Poirier jumping guillotine 10 million times. Benoit Saint Denis so did show that he can hang in there with these elite guys, because he was having success in there against Dustin Poirier with the takedowns and the grappling, but just ran out of steam. Obviously, staph infection is going to do that to you. It is known to do that. And the guy got caught and Dustin Poirier put him away. There is no shame in these losses, in my opinion. Money Moicano is on a bit of a streak right now, beating Drew Dober, beating Benoit Saint Denis, is going to take on Beneil Dariush at UFC 311, a fight that I do believe he will win. Beneil Dariush is one of these other guys who could have been put in this list, but even though I do feel like Beneil Dariush at one point was one of the most underrated fighters in the lightweight division, I do believe his best days, unfortunately, are behind him now. I don't know why this has turned into a Beneil Dariush rant video, but anyway, let's just take a look at the lightweight division. Here we go. So Benoit Saint Denis is currently ranked number 12. There is a rumour that he is going to be fighting Paddy Pimblett next. Don't know if I really like that fight. Well, I could see him beating Paddy Pimblett, but I don't know. I think this will be a difficult matchup for Benoit Saint Denis to come back to. Another big matchup. Not that I think he needs like a layup or anything. The guy is just outside the top 10. I do think there are fighters though in this division, even in the rankings, that he can beat. I think right now he would beat a Beneil Dariush. Don't know about Gamrot because his grappling did get exposed kind of, but Moicano and Gamrot's grappling are very different. Benoit Saint Denis likes to use the butterfly hooks when he goes down there, gets people in his guard, has his hooks in and kind of just explodes up. I think he might have success against Mateusz Gamrot in there though. I don't know if I'd say he's the better striker, more explosive, more powerful. Unsure of this one. I think Fiziev beats him. I think he beats Beneil at this moment in time. Michael Chandler versus Benoit Saint Denis would be such a fun matchup. Michael Chandler can crack though. That is the thing. I think he beats Dan Hooker. To be honest with you, I think he gives Dan Hooker a really tough matchup. Benoit Saint Denis, even though Dan Hooker showed good takedown defense in there against Gamrot, Benoit Saint Denis is much more physical in there. Again, another fun matchup. Benoit Saint Denis has got such a fun fight style. I do think this guy will make a recovery. I do think by the end of 2025, we will see Benoit Saint Denis still in the rankings, but I think he'll be in from the 10 to 5 range. I don't know if he'll be top 5, but I do believe he will be in the 10 to 5 range. I think when this guy gets his confidence back, I do feel like he does have the skills in there. Obviously, his last fight he got beat up pretty bad. It's going to be really deflating to his confidence, but I do believe in Benoit Saint Denis. Next up, we have got Triple C, Henry Cejudo. This guy's currently on a 2-fight losing streak, as you can see. Losing to Aljamain Sterling, losing to Merab. No shame in that. The greatest UFC bantamweight of all time, in my opinion, in Aljamain Sterling. After a 3-year layoff, he took him to a split decision, and then he lost unanimously to Merab, who is now the current UFC bantamweight champion. No shame in these losses for Henry Cejudo. Henry Cejudo obviously is getting up there in age now. He is 37. The guy unfortunately ruined his career, his peak, for money. That's just what happened to him. But let's look at this division right here. I think there are matchups that he can win. I think he could beat a Rob Font. I think he would beat a Chito Vera. I don't think he'd beat Davison Figueiredo at this point in time, to be honest with you. I think Corey Sandhagen would be an interesting matchup, but I think Sandhagen's stature would be a real problem for Henry Cejudo because he is small for this division. Like I said, beats a Rob Font. I think he could do work against Mario Batista, but we know that fight isn't going to happen. I don't know if Mario Batista would just outstrength Henry Cejudo in there. I'm unsure about that. But I feel like the grappling exchanges, maybe I'd give Henry Cejudo the advantage in terms of pure wrestling. And on the feet, he's better than Mario Batista, in my opinion. Kyler Phillips got exposed. I don't think he's going to get the Henry Cejudo fight. Aldo versus Cejudo would be a fun matchup, although I think Aldo beats him. There is the rumour of him fighting Dominic Cruz. No interest in that. Honestly, I think you do him versus Cheeto Vera next. If you're not going to do that, I think you have him drop back down to flyweight and have him fight Pantoja for the belt. Really? Because he does still have name value. He technically never lost that belt. It's a big name for Pantoja to get on his resume if he can beat him. And to be honest, we're just looking at the size of the bantamweights now and just how elite they are. I think Henry Cejudo is best suited to the flyweight division, if I'm being honest. If he is going to come back, I'm not sure. He hasn't officially retired again. But, yeah, obviously he's just lost to Merab. I think O'Malley, stylistically, is a tough one for him. Obviously, we've seen O'Malley get out grappled by Merab. But Henry Cejudo isn't really known for taking people down and completely just controlling them for rounds upon rounds upon rounds. It's not really what he does. And I think O'Malley, again, similar to Corey Sandhagen, his stature, his size, I think he would catch Henry Cejudo in that karate stance, to be honest with you. Umar, I just don't think they're ever going to fight. I do think Umar would beat him. Petr Yan, this would have been a fun one when Henry was in his prime. Now, I think Petr Yan smashes him to bits. So, yeah, I think if he's going to stay here, Song Yudong would be a fun one. Rob Font, I think he beats, and I think he beats Cheeto Vera, to be honest with you. I'm moving on through the final fighter. I've got the hiccups. I couldn't speak. We have got Paulo Costa. Let's have a look at the middleweight division. Paulo Costa, just quickly, is currently on a 2-fight losing streak, losing to the third greatest middleweight of all time in Robert Whittaker and the former champion in Sean Strickland. I know it says split decision, but it wasn't a split decision in my opinion. Paulo Costa is 33 years of age. He's still young. Crazy to think at one point in time this guy was undefeated. We had him versus Adesanya, undefeated versus undefeated, and then he got humped by Israel Adesanya, and bro just hasn't been the same since. But he has changed his style, which I do think is hindering him. I think he needs to go back to being the eraser, being the one on the front foot, being the aggressor. And I think he can go far in this division still, to be honest. He's still young. I think he beats Anthony Hernandez. I think that would be a tough matchup for Anthony Hernandez. The body kicks of Paulo Costa, the quickness of him, the strength. Obviously, as the fight goes on, Anthony Hernandez does use his cardio really well and is able to grapple and just he's a big volume fighter, and that does tend to slow these people down, like we've seen like Michel Pereira, a guy who carries a lot of muscle. But Paulo Costa has been 5 rounds before, so I would favour him in that matchup. Him versus Jack Hermanson, I think Paulo Costa would beat him in there. I think he beats Roman Dolidze. I think he would beat Brendan Allen as well. I think at this moment in time he would beat Jared Cannonier. And I don't know if I'm just reminiscing on the old Paulo Costa. Obviously he's lost to Marvin Vettori, but I feel like he would beat a Marvin Vettori. Like, I really do. I feel like Paulo Costa would. Even though he hasn't. If this is making sense, like, when I watch Paulo Costa fight, I'm like, I know he's better than these guys now. Especially, well, Jared Cannonier, he was a top contender, but obviously he's like 95 years of age now and is kind of dipping off a bit. But he's better than Marvin Vettori, in my opinion, even though he's lost. He's better than Brendan Allen, and he's better than Roman Dolidze. Now, Caio Borralho, I think he would give Imavov a pretty good matchup as well. Obviously, he's just lost to Whittaker. I think Hamzat would beat him. Adesanya would beat him again. Strickland's already just beat him. Dricus du Plessis versus the old Paulo Costa would have been a fun one. But yeah, I think Paulo Costa could definitely work his way back up to just outside the top 5. So yeah, these are 3 fighters that I think will make a comeback in 2024. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you again in the next one. Have a good Christmas.